Hey, everyone. Welcome back to this week's roundtable. I'm so excited that you are here because today we have Miranda Campbell, and we're going to be talking about writing a book and going beyond the couch with marketing and utilizing your website to do so. So, today, like I said, we have Miranda Campbell. I'm going to send it over and let her introduce yourselves, and we'll go right into it.
Hello, y'all. I am so honored to be, part of your community today. So, like Shauna said, I am Miranda Campbell. I am half of Therapist Bestie, which is our brand, myself and Jessica Mayo, also formerly known as Jessica Harris, our company together that has really helped us leverage our passions beyond the couch. So we're not just, focused on transforming clients because our reach can only go so far. But if we impact those that serve the clients, then our reach can be so much more plentiful. So
This is so exciting because you are part of a duo, which is really, really cool. So tell us a little bit about how the duo came to be.
yeah, so Jess and I, I think we orbited around the same circle. And it just so happened I was coming back from maternity leave from my second child, my son, and I attended a minority networking mixer with a Black therapist in our area in Atlanta, and she was there. And so it's funny, I feel like our paths were destined to cross because right after I left a job at a eating disorder facility, she came and worked right after me.
Oh,
And then,
wow.
to meet her at this event, it was just instant chemistry. And that's just Jess. Like, she is the master relationship marketer, just really forming genuine connections, relationships. And, we've been talking ever since. And I'm such an introvert. Like, I don't talk to anyone. Like, so, for this connection to happen, it's been really cool. And we have, a lot of shared passions, but our skills really complement each other. With me being an introvert, I'm like I mean, she is very techie and she's like hit me to some things, but she gets energy from like being out and like engaging with people. And I get energy from like just pouring my heart or like listening to a therapist talk about who they're passionate in serving and translating that into website copy that I could do one-on-one, me and the screen, kids in the background, doing what they want to do. So it's been a match made in heaven since.
That's awesome because I think that when it comes to partnerships, it's like part of it is like finding the things that work really well. And you're not always going to pair yourself with like another person who's just like you, right? You want to pair
Yeah,
yourself with someone who can kind of help bring out your attributes as well. So that's really cool.
definitely, definitely.
So you have a book. How did you come to writing this book?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to write a book. It's just been on my bucket list. And, everything else that was on my bucket list, I had already accomplished. And I'm just like, oh, shoot, I guess I like the book is up.
Mhm.
And years have passed, and I just still, hadn't, I was just waiting for the season. And this was it. I always thought that I would write a book for children, um, helping them navigate certain things or helping their parents help them. But I ended up just going for something that would help my uh, clients that I serve in my therapeutic practice as
Mhm.
a way of being more accessible. Not everyone can afford to have a full episode of care with their desired therapist using their modality, but we sure did put this in this book. So, I had this dream, Jess and I, outside of serving therapists, we also are some attachment theory girlies. And so I'm like, Jess, you want in on this? She's like, hell yeah. So like it made it a lot less intimidating. I had the audacity to write it, but I knew it would be that much easier to do it with
Mhm.
my therapist bestie. And so our company, Therapist Bestie, published our first workbook, which I can show you.
Yes, please.
Um, yeah, Attachment Style Makeover, which was so fitting because outside of therapy, Jess is a makeup artist and very talented one at that. So it was fun to just kind of play on words and like fuse our therapeutic approaches and really like focus it on the BIPOC community, which isn't often talked about in this arena of like self-help books or like theory of practice. Like we'll examine the Holocaust survivors, we'll examine Native Americans, but like it's very rare that we'll see like people talk about growing up Black in America and what that does to our mental health. So
Mhm.
that's our contribution.
Yeah. First of all, I love that you said something earlier, and this is something that I tell other therapists all the time is like in going beyond the couch, like it's not just about, oh, I have to do this thing over here, this thing over here. How can you extend yourself? How can you expand your business
Mhm.
without having something that you're actively doing all of the time? I think a workbook is an excellent idea because you can still help and you can still create an extension of accessibility that you're not really having to face every day with those particular people who are interested in that. That's amazing. And, just being able to not have to be the one that like foots the whole thing, like having another person who also understands and who's able to contribute to that as well is like amazing.
Yeah, it's a godsend, and it definitely serves the foundation in our mission of Therapist Bestie. You know,
Hmm.
we have a two-pronged approach, but really our heart is in helping other helpers do what they're gifted in a sustainable way. Too many
Mm.
of us are burning out, whether it's just the capacity to hold space for all the things that we do, or if it's financially. So if we could clear the path by either providing you with educational materials, whether that's a clinical approach, workshops for organizations, or if that's in your marketing so that you're more visible and you don't have to spin your wheels while also holding that capacity. Like, let us take that off your plate. Let us help you expedite that process. Let us help you um, get those people that desperately need you in. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us more about how do you help therapists do that? Because you also work on website copy. So there's like this extension of marketing. And I
mhm,
have to share with everyone because you actually assisted me with something that was like so phenomenal when I had shared with you my directory listing for therapy for Black girls and you were like you
mhm.
looked through it and it seemed like it happened so quick. And I was like, oh my goodness, these changes are like phenomenal. They were so helpful.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that you found a difference. I would love to hear more, maybe offline, on how that's going and even like further the tweaks. But, the thing is that, websites, I guess for me, in the way that I kind of see the process of someone coming to the realization that, oh, I may need therapy, and then making the decision to go and get it, and then finding that therapist. It A website is a powerful tool. Granted,
Mhm.
it's not the only tool, but I do feel like a website amplifies the other things that you can do. Now, I'm not one that believes that there's this like formula that everyone has to follow, like robots. Success in marketing yourself can happen in so many ways, but it's typically with the use of two to good strategies that you're consistent on. And when I say strategies, it's not I'm going to do what works for the masses and just hope it works for me. It's more of like setting it up with the foresight of like, if I'm going to blog, like who's going to find this blog? How are they going to find this blog? I'm not just doing something off a checklist, putting it out there, and then thinking, hey, why isn't this working? I'm taking a critical eye and seeing, like, well, how are people going to get eyeballs on it? Like, the likelihood of just you dropping it into the online space and then it just being found to build your case so this is not likely to happen in that
Yeah.
exact way. So building components around it to really maximize those things really helps.
Yeah. So I was thinking about what feels like active marketing versus passive marketing. And I think a lot of what therapists have been taught is like a very kind of
Mhm.
passive way of marketing, right? Like you create your website if you have one, and that, like that's just one piece that you put out into the ethers. And like then you have your directories, and that's just one piece that you put out there. And I feel
Yeah.
like what I hear you saying is that we are utilizing those bits and pieces that we have out there, but taking a more active approach to really looking at it and thinking about the client journey,
Mhm.
when it comes to how do they come about finding you? How do they feel when they read the stuff that you have put out on yourself? How does that help them, take the next step of, yes, I want to work with you, or yes, I want to set up that consultation appointment.
Definitely. And I know that for many that might sound daunting, like active, what do you mean? I'm already active in these other parts. I didn't go to school for this. This is not my thing. And I mean, that's where you kind of meet this crossroads of like, well, can you outsource it? You know, you're
Mm,
going to spend something. It's either going to be time in doing it yourself or money in having someone help you out. So, with us being therapists ourselves, we understand this plight and we really tailored how we work with therapists with that in mind, leading with that. And so, not only do we want to serve and provide our therapists with a collateral, like an object, whether it's a digital object like a website or, scheduling a year's worth of blogs or helping them come up with like a lead magnet to work with their website and whatnot. We also, for those that are open to it, want to teach them how to do it themselves so that
mm,
they are not beholden to someone else. So I first got into web design. Well, for one, I really wanted to go like the artist route in college, but I was sensitive and I was just like, you are not going to grade my work. And so I ended up switching majors into sociology and whatnot, and the rest is history. But this is a way for me to like channel that outlet. But I was subscribed to one of those website memberships that was like really cool for the moment, where it was like $65 a month. I'm sure it's a lot more now, but back in 2019, it was like $65 a month for them to create your website. It was for therapists. They did all the copy, they did all the things,
okay.
and that was enough. But it got kind of irritating because at some point, my artistic flair came up and I really wanted like brand. And I knew that came with like imaging and recognition and like just being able to communicate not only like how I wanted the website to look, to feel, what I want the copy to say, how I wanted it to be organized, and like how I thought like clients thought. Um, it was daunting. Like I would spend so much time writing out step by step detailed instructions to have to wait for that to be implemented, and then it's wrong.
Mm,
I got to the point where I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm just going to try and do this myself. And so I taught myself how to design websites on Squarespace. So the interface of Squarespace just is a lot easier to me to navigate than some other options, which I am dibbling and dabbling and learning now. But
mhm.
starting out, it's just a lot easier. And I know what my clients need to hear. Like, I've honed in on this skill. On how to reel them in. And it actually is cheaper than paying $65 for the rest of my life to have
Yeah.
this website that I don't even like.
Yeah.
And so, under $300 for the year, I can host something that I made myself. So I would love to teach other therapists that skill.
Oh my goodness. And I think it's one that we definitely all need, but you said something that's key. It is like, I think it's like recognizing your strengths. I too am a highly creative person, and my first
Mhm.
website was a WordPress website. And I was out there like learning all sorts of stuff to put together my WordPress. And then 2018. or 2020, I switched to Squarespace when I started both my therapy website, Delightful Counseling Services, and then the
Mhm.
Delightful Clinician. And like what I found was that it was easier, it was cheaper, and I had more control over
Mhm.
it versus like paying one of those resources to host a website that kind of looked like everybody else's, or it had the same format,
Mhm.
or it was a one pager. Nothing wrong with a one pager, but I wanted for
No, I
people to be
love
able to,
a one pager. Yeah.
yeah. But it wasn't my style. And that's I think that was like important was like I want these particular things. And it was probably because I was so used to WordPress that I was like, I want it to look this way. But
Yeah.
um I think that we get really hesitant about one, where we have a skill set, right? Like what we can do, what we can't do. And then two, do we have the time for it as well? But also, I think that we worry a lot about the funds, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you're first starting off, you don't always have a lot of funds
No.
to reallocate to like, okay, let me pay someone to develop my website, or let me do this. So we're spending a lot of currency, whether it's funds or our own personal time, to do these particular things. But I think it does make a difference in the long run, especially if we're looking at like, okay, I can pay someone $65 a month, or I can pay for it once, have it regularly maintained, and then it's done. $300 a year, way different than 65 times 12.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like what I love about a one pager is that it really can serve as a foundation for a therapist who's like, look, I don't have like all the money in the world to invest on a full-blown website. I need to grow into it. I need to have proof of concept that this business is sustainable. I need the business to pay for this website. And I need it to like be have proven results and whatnot. And so, we work with therapists where they're at and meeting them financially, what they need, what would actually be helpful in terms of what they're trying to accomplish in their zone of genius.
Yeah. You know what? And I was also thinking like for me, I I I was I came from like the blogging days where like people were starting blogs, and this was like the way that they
Hmm.
were now working from home. And so for me, like when I look at blogs, there was like all of these things that you can do. But I think if I was first starting off, I would probably want to keep it as simple as possible. And I think simple is often better, especially for if you have a new client and they are trying to figure out what to do. Like they don't want to be clicking on a bunch of buttons. They want to see that you're a therapist, that you can
Hmm.
serve them, and that they have an easy way to get signed up. So I think that is really simple for, not simple, but I think that is really efficient and effective
Yes.
for many people because it's like simple is better. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of times when I'm like looking around at people who sell courses or they are selling a particular thing, what I've noticed is their websites don't always have to have the full kit and caboodle. And sometimes I'm really shocked or
Right.
surprised, like, oh, like this is priced this way. But then also when you go on it, it's just like, oh, like this is a Google document. Or like, you click on it and you're like, oh, this is not as expansive as you thought. This isn't on one of those big platforms. Like this was just put together this way. The information, valuable, very much needed, but it's not like the whole shebang or the whole big kit and caboodle. And I think that
Hmm.
sometimes we get a little, myself included, gets a little thrown off by like, oh, it
Yeah.
has to have all the bells and whistles in order for it to be effective, or in order, not even effective, but in order for it to be attractive to different people. I love that you are thinking about the client first and how they would engage with this particular therapist in order to get started in the services.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. So tell us about where we can find a therapist bestie. How can we get started if we're looking for services, and what does that look like for a therapist?
Yes, you can follow us. We're mainly in three locations. That is Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Uh, Therapist Bestie underscore for the social medias, and then Therapist Bestie on LinkedIn. You can also follow us individually as well. Would love, to interact and chat with you with all of your audience. However, we can help them or point them in the right direction for what they need.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming to talk with us today, Miranda. Y'all definitely go out, check out the Therapist Bestie. I actually really enjoy some of the posts that you all have on LinkedIn. It's like my LinkedIn is my new favorite place to kind of just see
Yeah.
how people are talking about different things. LinkedIn is a really cool place to be. But thank you so much for coming out and sharing with us. And y'all look out for the Therapist Bestie, and we look forward to chatting with you all some more.